Good afternoon. Who was your first love? Was it Bobby or Sally from next door? Or maybe it was an older guy or girl who you didn't even know, or they didn't know that you existed. One thing's for certain, we all remember our first love. We remember how they made us feel. We remember how we spent countless moments thinking about them, wishing we were with them, and excited just to see them. I remember my first love. I was so excited to be with my first love. It always made me feel so much better. It was very comforting and safe. Little did I know that one of those days that my first love would almost kill me. You see, my first love was a toxic relationship. It was very one-sided, and it was really hard to walk away from. I tried a lot of times, only to get sucked back in deeper. Well, my first love was food, and it was slowly beginning to destroy me. Physically, it was hard to walk. My feet, my legs, my ankles, my back screamed in pain. My husband, Steve, had started doing most of the shopping for our household because it was too much for me to walk in a store. When I got home from work, all I wanted to do was lay down. Speaking of work, I started parking in the handicap section in front of the Wabash building because I couldn't walk all the way to my desk at the 4th floor. Not only that, I would stop in the break room several times to rest because I was out of breath and I couldn't make it all the way to my desk. So it was really hard. But now I want to do some audience participation for just a moment. So can anybody tell me where the happiest place on earth is? Disney, that's right. I can't believe you guys didn't say Capital Group in Carmel. I'm very disappointed. But that's right. So that's my husband, Steve, in the Purdue shirt. And Nathan on the side, and they have some other woman in between them. I think her name's Minnie, but that's okay. So we decided in 2012 to go to Disney. And they wanted to go to the water park, which I wasn't real excited about because my family does not have a very good history at water parks. You see, when Nathan was 4 years old, we went to a water park, and he was running around like a crazy man, and I was actually afraid he was going to get hurt. And I said to him, "Nathan Samuel, stop running around like a Nimrod." And my son, my precious son, didn't miss a beat when he yelled out, "Dad, Mom just called me the N-word." He thought it was Nimrod. Needless to say, we didn't stay much longer. And we don't take him out in public very often. But we went to the water park, and off they shot to the wave pool. They couldn't wait to get in. And left me on the beach thinking I could just cover up with a towel because I really don't want to be here. But, you know, I was at Disney. Happiest place on earth, my ass. I was not happy to be there. But I decided, you know, I want to be with my family, so I'm going to shrug out of my swimsuit cover-up. And that's when I saw him out of the corner of my eye. And it was a guy standing with his buddy, and they were kind of nudging each other, and he pointed at me first, and then he laughed. And then he did something I didn't expect. He took out his camera, or his cell phone, and he took a picture of me. And then he shared it with his buddy, and they both laughed. I wanted the sand to swallow me up. That sting of embarrassment, the heat rose in my body, and all I wanted to do was be somewhere else other than there. But what are you going to do? So this is another picture of Nathan. Now, Nathan is an athlete, as you can tell, and as his mom, I think he's a pretty darn good one. But he gets that from my side of the family, is what I tell everybody. And one of the things I always thought about was, he's going to grow up, and he's going to be a senior actually in another 4 years. And he's going to walk out on the football field. You know how they walk out with their parents on senior night? And I thought, he's going to walk out there, and I'm not going to be able to join him. Because, you see, I can't walk, and I can't stand that long. And there's no way I'm going to be able to be with my son. I'm going to be stuck watching from the sidelines if I live that long, because I really didn't know. So it's time for audience participation again. Can anybody tell me what our retirement plan at Capital is called? I heard both of them, MERP, CRISP, whatever we want to call it today. Maybe tomorrow it'll be different. You know what? I call it awesome because really it's a great benefit. But I thought of it not as a retirement benefit. Ooh. I thought of it as a death benefit. And I would check my beneficiaries every time we got a statement to make sure the Social Security number was right, to make sure everything was right so that Steve and Nathan would be taken care of, because I wanted to make sure that if I wasn't going to be around, they at least would be taken care of. You see, I thought this because I weighed 568 pounds, and I didn't think I was going to live. So I had a decision to make. I'd tried every diet there was, and it always, like I said, my first love, I got sucked back in deeper. I always gained it back plus some more. So I could have the same course I was on, which was certain to lead to disaster, or I could have a life-changing surgery. Sounds like a no-brainer, right? Well, I want to introduce you to someone. My mom had weight loss surgery also. It's been almost 20 years ago now. And she was feeling pretty good after the surgery. It went very well. And as a matter of fact, 2 weeks after the surgery, she called me. And she was feeling really good. And she said, yeah, I feel so good, Connie. I think I'm going to vacuum today. And I was like, oh, if you should do that, you're just a couple weeks out. But they tell you to be active afterwards, and she felt good. And I was at work later that night when I got the call, and they said, Connie, your mom came in today, and she had shortness of breath and chest pains. And when we did the chest x-ray, the lungs were completely full with blood clots. You see that vacuuming? It had dislodged all the clots, and they had filled her lungs. And then they said, we did everything we could, but I don't know how the rest of that conversation went. I couldn't tell you what they said because she was gone. That surgery was supposed to be our answer. You see, weight loss surgery was supposed to change everything for my family. Oops. And it did. So I had to make a decision. And how can I tell my dad, whose first love is married for 27 years, that I was going to have the surgery that killed his wife, as far as he was concerned? And how was I going to tell my husband and my son that I didn't know what was going to happen? Well, after a lot of prayer and a lot of struggle, I decided to have that surgery. And on February 18th of 2015, I had what was called vertical sleeve gastrectomy. So that, in layman's terms, basically means I had 85 to 90% of my stomach removed. They cut it off, get out of it. So my stomach used to be the size of a deflated football. No offense, Patriot fans, I love you. And now it's the size of a highlighter pen. So much has changed. So very much has changed. And I would take hours, literally, to tell you everything that was changed. And it would take a book to tell you. But one thing I want to tell you that hasn't changed is that I love to write. I've loved to write my whole life, write stories, letters, you name it, I write it. And I wrote letters before the surgery. I wrote letters to Steve and my Nathan and my dad and told them how much I loved them in case something should happen to me. But I also wrote a different kind of letter. And I wrote it in this journal that someone from Capital Group got me. And it says, dream big, think positively, and inspire others. And this has been my journal for my weight loss journey. And I wrote, dear food, I am writing you because I'm afraid we have to break up. It's not your fault, it's mine. Our relationship has become too complex and very one-sided. It's become too toxic for me to continue. It has to change because you have become too dangerous for me. It goes on for several pages. So I had to break up with food. But like every good capital associate, when you identify a problem and bring it forward, what else do you need to identify? Thank you, exactly. So I put forth a plan for victory. Part of that plan was exercise. At 568 pounds, I didn't do much exercise. Standing up was exercise for me. But my friend Tammy called me, and she's here today with me. Thank you for coming. And she said, let's go do a water aerobics class at LA Fitness. And I said, yeah, let's do that, because you know what? Doing water aerobics in a public gym or a public pool always works out so well for me. But if you're gonna have 85% of your stomach removed, you better be all in. And I was all in. So I went to that gym and I sat in my minivan and I watched as these really pretty, skinny girls walked in, and their hair pulled back in perfect ponytails. And then I watched guys walk in that can't put their arms down to their sides. There's probably some of you in this room. And I watched them, and that's what my eyes saw. But what my heart and my mind saw, no, they screamed judgment. You don't belong here. Well, in the past, to deal with those feelings, I had always ate. I'd stuff them down with sweets or fast food. I couldn't do that because I wrote that stupid breakup letter. So, through tears in my eyes, I went through my purse and I found a piece of paper and a pen, and I started to write. And I wrote like crazy. I wrote everything I was feeling, everything I was seeing. And suddenly I began to feel better. And I thought, I can do this. So suck it up, Buttercup. Get yourself in that gym and do the class. And I did. And I didn't die. And when I walked out of that gym, I was a member. And I was hooked. And I started going to the gym 3 to 5 days a week. Sometimes I would hit every day of the week. I loved going and being in the water. It wasn't too long in, probably about 3 months. And I'd lost about 100 pounds at that point. These boys, they were probably high school age. They just, every time they saw me, they would say something and they would laugh and kind of sideways glance. And I finally got the courage one day to go up to them. I was like, can I help you? Because you see, I thought if they knew that I knew that they were talking about me, I thought maybe they would stop. But clueless stares really is all I got back from them. I said, never mind, and I just walked away. I felt a little defeated. And it was a few days later that I went back to the gym, and they were in the pool this time, which is where I spend my time. And they walked over to the lane. So they were standing right on the other side of the lane marker, right next to me, probably about 24 inches. And they started to serenade me with whale noises. Don't you cry, Connie Blanford. Do not let them see your tears. They don't deserve it. I was so upset. I got out of the pool. I didn't even dry off. I got out of the pool. I walked straight into the locker room, and I called the gym manager, and I hated to tattle. I'm not that kind of person. but I knew something had to be done. I couldn't keep doing this. So the gym manager, who was a skinny little pretty girl in yoga pants, came in and she got them out of the pool, and the one said, "Can I say something to you?" And I said, "Sure," because I was determined not to be ashamed of this. And he said, "I've never talked to you." And I said, "You know what? You are right. You've never talked directly to me, but you've said plenty about me. Do you think I don't know? Do you think I haven't heard? You know, I'm fat. I get it. I've been dealing with it my whole life. But whale noises? Really, boys? This should be the one place that I should be able to come and not be ridiculed." Well, he apologized, and we went about our ways. And a lot of things, like I said, a lot of things have changed over the last year. So this is me. The bottom one is the day of surgery, February of 2015. Then we have November of 2014 there at the bottom, and then we have some other shots. Every day brings new challenges, new opportunities. One of the things that I've learned is during this CapitalSpeaks process, when I met with the audition panel, I told them that I had learned self-acceptance. Learned, check it off because it's done. Well, I got the email then, a Friday afternoon, and that email said, "You're going to have your picture taken for the brochure, the program that many of you are holding right now." And I don't want to have my picture taken. I don't like to have my picture taken. You might say, "Connie, but you have your picture taken all over the place there." Well, those are because I took those pictures and I had control of them, and you don't know how many shots those went through to get those pictures. Lots. So I was very upset. As a matter of fact, I had convinced myself, because the email said, "Wear something that makes you look and feel fabulous." Now, I feel pretty darn good. I might even say that I feel fabulous, but look fabulous? No, not at all. Great, I just joined RPS, and now I have to tell Rhonda McLaughlin that I'm not going to do CapitalSpeaks. I was so worried about it. But I decided to go ahead and do it. But you see, the thing is, when I look in the mirror, I still see that 568-pound woman looking back at me. And she's scared and she hurts. But that's okay, because she's a part of me. And one thing I've learned is through my writing, because I write a lot. After those experiences at the gym, I wrote, I'm able to let her out. And that's how I'm finding my voice. A lot of positive changes have happened. It's hard to believe that 18 months ago, I couldn't walk from my car in the handicap spot to my desk. This was when I did a 5K at Potter's Bridge. I was halfway done at that point. Thank you. And I plan to do another one. And someday I hope to be able to walk the mini. I'm not running anywhere ever, but I do hope to walk the mini. To date, I've lost 250 pounds. But I can tell you without a doubt that I have gained so much more than I've lost. I'm going to make mistakes. I continue to. But my mistakes can only derail me if I allow them to. Things like this, they make me incredibly vulnerable. But with that vulnerability has come incredible strength. When I lost 200 pounds, I got a tattoo to remind me of the voice that I found. And my tattoo says, "She believed she could, so she did." And I love that because it gives me strength every day when I look at it. In closing, I just want to tell you about this. I don't know if anybody knows what this is now. It's not an email. It's not a text. It's an actual letter. You don't see those very much this often. And you see, it's a letter from my mom. And she said, "I know that you know that I love you, but I'm not sure that you know how much. That's even hard for me to explain. But just know that I love you with all that I am and all that I have, and I'm so very proud of you. She wrote that 2 days before her surgery, and I was 24 years old, and I didn't get it, because that's what parents are supposed to say. It wasn't until years later I was holding my newborn Nathan in my arms, and I realized what those words meant to her and how very precious that time and letter was for me. I still write her letters, even though she's not here. And I tell her about Nathan and how incredible he is, and I tell her how awesome this journey has been. And sometimes I tell her about Capital Group. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's it's always great. But one of these days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that MERP money, because you see, I'm going to live. I'm going to take Nathan to the football field, and we're going to walk out there his senior year. I'm going to continue to lose weight. I'm going to make my goal. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but I'm going to make it. And Nathan's going to have children someday. No time soon, he's 14. But when he does, we're going to Disney World. And I'm going to write my mom, and I'm going to tell her how awesome Disney World was the second time around. Thank you.